Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The Erskin Music Show is back. He's back, folks. It has been a good summer. It's been a long summer. It's been a strong summer. And so many good stories to tell you guys. I hope everybody gets a chance to tune in today. I know we're getting back in the routine of things. It's kind of like Labor Day. Okay. Oh, wait, it's Tuesday. Oh, wait, it's Wednesday. And so we're getting back in the routine today. I totally understand that. I'm trying to figure out where all these buttons are. StreamYard has moved some buttons around on the thing. And I'm like, okay, I used to remember how to do this, but we're back today for a very special episode. And every episode is special. I mean, you already know that. Every episode is special. But this is a special episode because I have convinced, Balin helped, Balin convinced my wife to come on the show today. If you'll remember, when last we met, we were doing the season finale, the 2-hour season finale. You're wondering what Big Head is at? Big Head. When last we met, the season finale, 2 hours, wife was supposed to come on. She was sick that day. Remember that? You don't remember that? I remember that. Well, she was not able to come on the show that day. And so I said, well, since we didn't get you on the season finale, people want to see you. People want to know that you're out there, that you're doing well, that you're, just gorgeous and godly, and all the different things that my wife is, just make an appearance on the show. And so she's going to be coming on today. She's going to be rocking and rolling with me for just a little while on the show today, as much as she can tolerate. And I know that she's very much looking forward to being on camera, being on stage. If you have ever seen people who are two opposites, it is my wife and I, with regards to being in front of a camera, being on stage, singing or presenting something in front of people. That would be us. So I think it's, you know what, at the end of the day, I think it's just good to be able to show people what daily life looks like. So this is the season premiere for the Erskin Music Show. I want to check and see if this works here. We should have dramatically improved sound for this season. New mics. Well, not new mics, but new audio setup. Can you hear me out there? Is this good? Can you hear me? We should have dolphins that are coming to the screen. All right. So, yeah, I'll go back and post and try to figure out what dolphins and all manner of things that are going on here in the show. But it is the Erskin Music Show. It is the season premiere. We're going to go for 2 hours today. When we say season premiere or season finale, I think at this point, just going out a 2 hour. I mean, that's the only way to do it, right? I knew I wasn't going to be able to see you guys for a couple months, so I was a little sad about that. But I knew if I went out with 2 hours, it was a strong 2 hours, you guys would have something to feast on. I wanted to get on and do a couple of shorts over the summer, but there were some big stories that came out this summer, and I had to resist the urge. I had to be disciplined. All right, I had to resist the urge to jump on every time there was a story that took place, and to say, okay, well, this is a special. I'm not going to be live streaming every day like I was, but I just want to talk about this story. No. If you're gonna take some time off, take some time off. And so we'll get started here with the Erskin Music Show. So glad you guys could tune in for it today. And then we'll talk a little bit about what's going on, what I did over the summer. You'll probably want to know that. For those of you who don't already know, if you were at the shows, then you know what it was that I was doing this summer. But for those of you who were not, we'll be tuning in the Erskin Music Show. Comment section is turned on. I've been wanting to say that for a long time. Comment section is turned on, so you can drop a comment into the show. Remember, the snarkier, the better. The more controversial, the better. The more polemic, the better. Or if you just want to get on and agree with everything and wear your hat that says Erskin was right about everything that he's ever said on this show, then you can wear that as well. All right, it's the Erskin Music Show. We're ready. We're ready. We're back. Season 11. All right. Well, we're back once again, as I said before. And what did I do this summer? What did I do? What did you do this summer? I'm trying to get some comments. Comments in the comment section. What y'all been doing all summer? Letting people know that we're back. But I had an opportunity to travel around the country doing various things, which I mean, nobody who watches this show, Big Head, is actually surprised that I was traveling around the country. That was just for filler. Um, but yeah, I got a chance to do some great shows. The folks in South Dakota, we love you guys. Let's see if it's 8:45 here. What is it? 7:45 there. You guys are just waking up in the morning, getting that mountain time over there. For the folks who are watching on Eastern Standard Time, it's 9:45, and my plan here in Central Standard Time was that you get about 15 minutes of the show before you have to go into work. But I don't know that that's necessarily a good idea because the Eastern time zone is at 9:45. You have to already be at work, and so I'm losing the East. And then 7:45, you're trying to get your kids to school and do all the different things on the mountain time. But hey, look, we'll do the best that we can. Even 8:45 is a little bit cruel to you guys because you only get 15 minutes of the show, and then you have to leave because I don't want you guys to cheat your employer. But again, these will be up. I think I'm streaming simultaneously. I'm looking at the little dots here. It says I'm on Facebook. So hello, Facebook audience that's out there. It tells me that I'm also on YouTube, the tubes of you. I'm on Twitch, and I'm on Rumble. And we're going to be adding a couple platforms. I'll talk to you guys about that a little bit later. But what'd you do this summer? What was your schedule? What were your travels? What were your plans? What were your fears? What were your apprehensions? No, we don't need to get into all that at this point. I'm not doing psychology. We're talking about Jesus. And for those of you who have never seen the show before, never subbed to the show, you may or may not want to subscribe to the show. I talk a lot about Jesus. I talk a lot about Jesus. In fact, I'm about to get on here and start talking more about Jesus and talking about the Bible and talking about something. But I got a lot to catch up on. And so before trying to confine myself to an hour, I decided 2 hours is the only way to really do this. That's the only way that I can catch you guys up with what it is that I was doing this summer. And so this summer I had an opportunity to go to South Dakota. Got a chance to stop over and see some of my friends in Kansas City. Whoop, whoop, Kansas City. We will be back there next weekend for Nehemiah Fest. And we'll talk more about that next week leading up to Nehemiah Fest. Excuse me. South Dakota was up there for Sturgis Bike Week. I don't ride a Harley. I don't plan on necessarily riding a Harley anytime soon. But I was up there because of the population boom and the opportunity to play with some of my friends, some music, do some events in the area. And yeah, South Dakota, you guys are beautiful. What a beautiful state, beautiful people, just deeply encouraging. And I hope to be back there as soon as possible. Got a chance to stop over and see some of my good friends in Discovery Church in Fort Collins. Hello to you guys if you're watching Erskin Music Show. Appreciate you guys and your encouragement and support there. And then spend some time down in Lubbock, Texas. And let me tell you, Lubbock. If it wasn't for the dust storms, I probably wouldn't try to move down there. But great folks over in West Texas, Ransom Canyon. If you know, you know. Just get a chance to see some great folks around the country. And then I could not start the show without acknowledging the wonderful people who are over in New Mexico, like new family to me, these folks. Did a tour there with Les Downs. We were in Roswell primarily, did some stuff in Artesia. New Mexico. Yeah, don't sleep on New Mexico now. Don't sleep on New Mexico. New Mexico is all about it. And so I enjoyed that time as well. And for the other events that I was at, I think I had an event in North Carolina. There were just some various things scattered around the country that we had an opportunity to do. And so that was good summer. Summer well spent. Now we're about to get into touring festival season. We'll be headed out with the band. Next week we'll be at Nehemiah Fest. Look at the tour schedule. You'll be able to see that. And so without further ado, let me just get to some of these tags for today. I'm trying to figure out how to do a show and what these things all mean. But I think this means there's various areas where I'm subscribed to. You can look at that on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Rumble. And coming up here very soon, should I announce this today? Yeah, I'll go ahead and announce it today. Coming up here very soon, we'll be in GodTube. And so we're looking at efforting getting that there. And so if you've not already liked and subscribed to the show, you may or may not. But most people who watch the show are just like, how is his show better than Joe Rogan's show? And Joe Rogan's show is bigger than his show. Well, I'll give you some secret sauce a little bit later. We'll be using some source material today, and so I'll just go ahead and throw this up on the screen just to let you guys know. that when I'm using source material that is not my own, it is under the fair use clause, because I'm going to try to teach you something today. I'm going to try to comment on some things today and augment the material slightly because of that. And so here's a disclaimer. Okay, again, the comment section is turned on. No more of this. Gospel choir is in good throat and in good voice. All right. Well, this summer, if we could flip the script here for just a second, this summer we had an opportunity to spend some time reading. If you remember, let's see what this is. I'm trying to figure out what these buttons are. Sorry. Oh, no, don't do that. There it is. Okay. All right. Had some opportunity to read some books, and I was looking through my notes today because I tried to list those out, but I read J.D. Vance's book, Hillbilly Elegy. I was really kind of curious. I don't know much about J.D. Vance, or at least I didn't know much about J.D. Vance before he became vice president of the United States. I knew that he had opposed Trump and that he had run maybe for president of the United States. But at any rate, yeah, it was kind of interesting reading his story and thinking about Appalachia and that area, and kind of some similar in some ways to where I went to school at East Tennessee State University. Got a chance to read his backstory, and it was really interesting and fascinating in reading about these American figures, both past and present. Oh, I read Eric Metaxas's book 7 Men. I think I was reading that at the end of the last season. I finished that book. That was a great book. I read Tim Scott's, I guess, vice presidential. Well, not vice president. He'd been running for president, but before he ran for president, he had a book that came out that just kind of chronicled his life. I think he wanted people to get to know him better. Tim Scott has always been one of my favorite politicians from South Carolina. Deeply respect the work that he's done there with opportunity zones and helping the economy flourish. And that's a lot of what challenges us in America, and a lot of the inner city and low achieving areas. He had some really viable solutions. And so I did, if you remember the show, back his presidential campaign, endorsed that, supported that, and talked a lot about that. So I figured it was probably appropriate to read a book about Tim Scott. I've got that on the shelf if anybody wants to borrow it, but you can find it at your local bookstores. Also got a chance to read Stephen A. Smith's book, Straight Shooter. And you guys know that on this particular brand and show, one of the things that both gets me in trouble and gets me out of trouble is the fact that I'm a straight shooter. And I don't want to borrow whole cloth from Stephen A. Smith's sort of background and scope. But it is important to think about the fact that there's not many, maybe there's a John Cooper with Skillet. That's the names I'm coming up with. Tom McDonald's outside of the Christian music ranks. I think, he's conservative, but I wouldn't necessarily call him a Christian. But yeah, artists who actually use their platform to talk about real world issues and real things. Even on today's, if I can tease you, we're going to have Kelli on here for just a little bit. And then after Kelli leaves, the second hour, since we're doing a 2-hour season premiere, the second hour is going to be spent talking about, what topics do I have up here? Am I doing Martin Luther King Jr. today? Maybe doing Martin Luther King. I know I'm going to do Donald Trump. I know I'm going to do Michael Tait. And there was one other story that I'm going to get into. Oh yeah, detransitioning. People who are transitioning from the trans life, and the fact that their voices are getting silenced. So those are the things I'm going to be talking about on the second hour of the show. But you won't want to miss any of the Erskin Music Show, because all of this is a compendium of God works and how he works in my life and how he's working in you guys' lives. That's why the comment section is turned on. You can drop a comment. Let people know that we're having a valuable discussion. Let people know the season is back on. Let people know the race is back on. And so let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward ahead to Erskin Music, because I want my wife to be on when I do the devotion today. I think she's going to really enjoy this. Some observations that I made And you guys will enjoy the conversation that we get a chance to have. She's going to ride out with me on the devotion, and then we're going to talk about a couple stories. And then since she doesn't want to be on here very long, I'm going to get her off so that we can jump into some of the controversial stories that I'd love to get into. Like I said before, I don't know many music artists in general. Well, there are some of the liberal variety, but especially Christian music artists, who use their platform to talk about controversial issues, to challenge issues in the church, challenge issues outside the church, challenge issues in the culture. And why are we doing that? I mean, I literally can tell you, and I said this, I believe it was season 4, season 5, when I was dealing with the LGBT issues, when I was dealing with some of the most controversial issues, COVID, and talking through some of the things that were there. I guaranteed you this kind of show will cost, it will cost me something. This is not one of those shows, just turn it on and have a little fun. Big Head and I, we have fun. But a show like this will cost me something, dealing with all the topics that I'm dealing with. But it's kind of like, and I've always realized that, Erskin, if you don't say anything about it, there's going to be a lot of people who are thinking what it is that you're thinking, but they're never going to say it. They're never going to say it because by dint of personality, they don't have the personality that you have. By dint of just sheer boldness, they're not going to go out like that. By wisdom sometimes necessitates that you don't say everything. And again, mind you, I don't say everything I could say. I try to say everything I should say, but I don't say everything that I could say on this show. So sometimes basic wisdom necessitates that you don't talk about every single thing every day. In fact, the way that this show is constructed is so that the audience that is tuning into this, the audience that knows what it is that I'm going to do, can tune in and start engaging with me. And I haven't really at this point, I haven't said anything about anything. And so the algorithm thinks, just another show, we'll throw all of that down. But the ones who know, they know that we're going to be having some real conversations today. So let me jump into some Erskin music here, because it is the Erskin Music Show. And then we're going to get Kelli on and see what her thoughts are. This is only love, because in the same vein as a follower of Christ, that I want to be thoughtful, maybe in some ways challenging of the cultural narratives that are out there, challenging of some issues that I see in the church that need more discussion. I also want to make sure that the manifesto, if you will, everybody talk about a manifesto. The manifesto of the Erskin Music Show is one that is characterized by love. And so let that be heard through the words of this song, heard through the voice that's on the other side of this microphone, and then heard through the guests and commentary that we're going to be having. My wife today, and then before we end the show today, I've got another special guest to be coming on tomorrow. You will not want to miss any of the episodes of the Erskin Music Show. There are no days off. We're going to be doing this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every week. This is the season premiere, so it's 2 hours, hour each day. That's all I ask, or actually 2 hours each day. I'm going to do an hour live, and then you can go back and watch it again with your friends. That's all I ask each day for the Erskin Music Show. All right, this is Only Love. We'll be back in just a few moments, and the special guest called my wife is going to be on the show.
Only love is the answer to driving out hate, and love's gonna work when we give it away. Only love is the answer to driving out hate, and love's gonna work when we give it away. A world full of darkness, yeah, we need a light. With all of the hurting, there's no room to fight. Only love is the answer to driving out hate, and love's gonna work when we give it away. Only love is the answer to driving out hate, and love's gonna work when we give it away. Please answer for serving. shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine. Oh, let it shine. Come on. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine. Oh, let it shine. Love is the answer to driving out hate. Yeah, love's gonna work when we give it away. Only love is the answer to driving out hate. Yeah, love's gonna work when we give it away. Only love. Only
All right, we're here. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Look at that.
I can see you now too.
Well, that is you would think maybe we could be in the same study together, but my studio is kind of small, and so in an undisclosed location somewhere in the what would that be, the west wing of the house?
No, that'd be the East Wing.
The east wing. Oh, you're in the east wing today. All right. Well, very good. I want to say good morning to a couple of folks here in the comment section here. This is Isaac Danford with Josh Schneider Music Group over there. Good morning. Blessed day, getting up, getting the word. On the road, on tour. Yes, they're on tour and doing some fantastic things out there with Josh Schneider and those guys. I hope to have them on the show at some point. Maybe this season. Maybe we'll set up our tour that we'll be doing in the spring. Maybe. Who knows? More information on that a little bit later. But before we talk about all of that, Kelli, you are my wife.
I am.
And I just needed to go ahead and say that for clarity, and then have you say that so that we can get a soundbite, we can get a clip, because there's people who are just like, you always show up, and where's Kelli? Or people who know you will be saying, where's Kelli? And they'll kind of looking past me and like looking in the car, like, she not here? Like, oh, and their shoulders slump and they begin to feel bad that you're not there.
I'm sure they're okay.
They recover by the grace of God, but there's people who are looking at the people who know you, love you, and the people who don't know you. There's a lot of people who actually don't know you, who've never met you, who actually love you as well, Kelli. So it's a thing. It's a real thing. Hold on a second. I'm trying to figure out how to do a show, guys. How loud is that? I've got this new audio set up, and so I can't.
Well, in my earphones, you sound fine. There's a little bit of an echo, but that's because you're just in the next room. But in my earphones, the sounds great.
Okay. Well, I'll stop tinkering with things. This morning was tinkering with things. Now I'll actually do a show. But catch me up, Kelli, or catch the audience up, because I kind of already know. But what are all the different things that you do? Because people don't see you on stage. I love, since Joe Guerre has gotten married, he and Beth, and the thing that they're doing, and I see them on.
They're so cute.
All the time, and they're singing together, and they're writing songs
wonderful
together.
Yes.
Oh, it's just so beautiful. It just warms my heart. Joe Guerre has been a guest on the show many times. Good friend of mine. We've toured together. He and his wife, just beautiful couple there. But we don't sing together. We don't. We don't do any musical things together. Like every once in a while, I'll have you come to the studio so you can hear it. This is what we're spending all of this money on. But like in terms of like the day-to-day events of music and touring, but you do some very important things for Erskin Music. So talk maybe a little bit about how your role of support works.
For Erskine music,
And life.
well, in life, okay. Well, I'm married to Erskine. I'm a mom. Homeschool our kids, so that has
Ding,
kept me awfully
ding.
busy over the years. Not so much now because our kids are both seniors, so they're in a different era of schooling. I am. We're a foster home, and so I am home taking care of any number and age of foster kids. And so I
Mhm.
guess part of the support for Erskine Music is keeping kids alive while you travel and are
Yeah,
gone.
yeah, that's
Um,
great. It's a
we're
beautiful thing when I come
actually,
home and everybody's still alive.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Um,
quite like that.
it's important. It's helpful. Um, Actually, for Erskine Music, I mean, obviously, I don't do anything on the music side. I'm not musical whatsoever. Um, don't
Do you
really
do
listen to
music
music.
management? Do you do
Huh?
management for me? Do you bust into rooms and be like, "Hey, you're gonna bring my husband in. He's the
Yeah,
man."
no, no. I have
That's your
zero
personality.
confrontational skills or sales skills, and I'm a pretty extreme introvert. So I'm okay with you traveling and me staying home in the background. I'm okay
Are
with that.
Are you okay with me busting in the room and being like, "All right, I don't need my wife to do it. Ain't no little girls around here gonna do my work for me. I'll bust up in the room and tell you to your face that you need to bring me up in there."
I mean, not really okay with that because it's just too edgy of an attitude. You just talk about no little girls concerning your wife. So no, but I understand the heart of what you're saying, and so yes, yes.
If there's
But
a
I do like to do. I'm artistic in more of a hands-on type of art. So I painted the sign behind your head, and I like doing some of the merch that you sell. Yeah. Um, so
Kelly did this,
Kelly did that. So
and
I'm a
she
merch
has a
lady.
mock-up of the one that's in the corner as well. The
I
never gives
do.
up. Yes,
Yes.
hand
Yes.
painted that. She's got them
Yeah.
skills, folks.
So yeah, I like to do that type of
Crafts. Yeah. Hmm.
work. I call it work, not crafts. It's not arts and crafts time,
Okay, I'm
but
sorry. My bad. My bad. My bad. My bad. My bad. My bad. She be doing domestic work, folks,
work.
not domestic crafts. Crafts is leisure.
Yes.
Work is roll up your
So I,
sleeve.
I I paint
Rosie the
signs for the
Riveter.
merch table, and I um print out the decals and iron them on the hats and make some of the jewelry.
All that glamorous stuff.
Glamorous.
Yep, that's the
Yeah.
glamour stuff that people, as people are thinking about the Erskine Music Show and where it is that I'm traveling, doing all the different shows, all the different things that they're seeing me do. Man, somebody's got to press that hat. I mean, somebody's got to be home to receive that order of T-shirts. Somebody's got to paint that wood block and make it into a sign.
Yeah.
And folks, that is Kelli Tait. She does it regularly. And if you're wondering, like, you're not letting your wife say that many words. Kelli, do you want to say a lot of words on this show? Should I pause and let you carry this show?
No, I'm not a typically wordy female, so I'm okay with being with people who talk a lot because then I don't have to talk a lot. I have to think through things and get them completely thought out before I enjoy talking about them. So it's really exciting today to be on the show since I have absolutely no idea ahead of time what I am going to be talking about.
Yeah, but it makes a better show sometimes when you just don't know what you're going to be getting yourself into.
Okay,
It doesn't look
yes.
staged. You
Well,
remember we
it's
were
not
talking about.
staged, so
So yeah, we let the folks in on a secret here. This is not staged. We've not gone over this before, and you can probably
no.
tell by the lags. This is as authentic audio and video as you're ever going to get. This is behind the scenes. We peeled the curtain back so that people can see the relationship that Kelli and I have together. She doesn't want to say a lot of words. She doesn't want to be surprised by events, but when she says words, when she has time to think through all the ramifications of what can happen and read the room, something that I'm not very good at doing. When she can read the room, she can recognize, maybe I shouldn't say that. Me, rhinoceros success. We're just charging ahead.
Yes.
Some died in the process.
We know
Others
you,
were
Erskin.
saved. Others were saved. But no, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. And we're going to do a devotion here in just a second. And so I just, unlike guests that have a platform and various other things, I mean, you do the furniture restoration and that's kind of your business. Kelly's restorations, if you want to look at that. But I didn't want to bring you on so that we could talk about furniture. I mean, I know there's people who do that sort of thing. And maybe I would get better ratings. Maybe there would be a honed in and codified audience that would listen to a show if all I did was ever talk about. I would probably get more views. Kelly, I'd probably get more views if I just talked about the paint stripper that is used in refinishing furniture. There's little niche groups that are out there. They love one another. But my deal is I want to bring you on, just kind of ride shotgun with me. You're my ride or die. You've been riding shotgun with me. How many years have you been married?
22.
22 years. She's been riding with me all the way through thick and thin, mostly through thin, but there have been a couple moments of thick in there.
There's been enough.
So, enough for us to be here today. Praise Jesus. We're going to talk about Jesus. But I do a devotion every day, and this devotion is going to come from Psalm 92. I've been reading through the Psalms. I preached a message on Psalms last Sunday, and in our summer series, Jesus 66. Psalm 92, I'm here today, and I'm going to read a couple of verses because I noticed that there's something about you that people wouldn't know about you, but they could probably assume. And that is you are faithful and constant in your devotional life. And I just kind of panned by the room, and I think you were reading Elizabeth Elliot last night, if I'm not mistaken.
It was.
Yeah, you were reading some Elizabeth Elliot. You read that regularly. I kind of see that book out from time to time. And if you guys don't know who Elizabeth Elliot is, we're about to look at that in just a second. Her life and the impact of her life, obviously affecting my wife's life, and then my wife affecting other people's lives. But I wanted to read from Psalm 92, and then I wanted to just revisit this phrase. You'll hear this guy completely mess it up. I don't know if he just didn't do his homework or what was going on there, but this guy completely messed up the quote. He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain possession of what he cannot lose. The treasure of who God is. But I'm going to read from Psalm 92, a couple of verses here, and then show you guys the life of Elizabeth Elliot. And then I'm just going to let you make some comments on what it is that you have read from her, what you gleaned from her. I think this will be instructive for folks who are out there who are just, what is the home atmosphere and environment like with Kelly not saying a lot of words? How does she demonstrate her strength and her character and her leadership within the context of the home? I think you guys are about to see that here in just a second. But I'm reading in the Bible from Psalm 92, and I don't know where this button is at, but grab your Bibles, folks. Oh man, I don't even know.
I'll just have to listen. I don't have my Bible here.
Oh, okay. Well, it'll be all right. Are we both up here? Yeah. There we go. Psalm 92. Listen as I read from the English Standard Version of this. Don't be tuning out now that I'm reading the Word of God. It is good to give thanks to the Lord, to sing praise to your name, O Most High, to declare your steadfast love in the morning and your faithfulness by night. To the music of the lute and the harp and the melody of the lyre, for you, O Lord, have made me glad by your work. The works of your hands I sing for joy. How great are your works, O Lord. Your thoughts are very deep. The stupid man cannot know. The fool cannot understand this, that though the wicked sprout like grass and all the evildoers flourish, they are doomed to destruction forever. But you, O Lord, are on high forever. For behold, your enemies, O Lord, for behold, your enemies shall perish. All evildoers shall be scattered. And it goes on and talks about the glory of God. And I won't reteach what it is that I did on Sunday, but just suffice to say that the key number, if you're wanting to lock in the book of Psalms, is the number 5. It's divided into 5 books, each of them sort of chronicling an area of Israel's history, whether that be the Davidic covenant and things that are related, and laments that are related to that, and David. About 73 of the Psalms are attributed to David. Then you have a number of the Asaph, and others that are scattered through there. But it is a psalter that leads us in what I categorize in my message as true worship. One of the things that you're able to see from the life of Jim and Elizabeth Elliott is that devotion to God that is being spoken about here in Psalm 92 in relationship to their love for God, love for each other, and then how even through difficulty and just chaos and tragedy, that love has continued to be made manifest. And so if you're not familiar with Jim and Elizabeth Elliott, let me give you guys about 3 minutes on their life. You'll enjoy this, and I think it'll be informative.
Is often messy. Well, let's consider the story of Jim and Elizabeth Elliott. Their story began in the late 1940s. Jim loved God and prioritized his time by studying the Bible above all else. Both he and Elizabeth felt this call to become missionaries, and they wanted to share the love and truth of God with unreached people. Jim's motto was, "No fool can give what he cannot keep, to gain what he cannot lose." Now, in 1955, after several years of ministry serving the indigenous people of Ecuador, Jim felt it was time to share the good news of Jesus with the Auca, a remote people group deep in the jungle. The Auca, however, had a reputation for violence and suspicion towards outsiders. Nevertheless, Jim and his team demonstrated this remarkable willingness to go. But first, they had to locate the tribe and then attempt to make contact. Now, at that time, none of this was easy and required communicating in a language that no outsider had ever mastered. One of Jim's teammates, a pilot, believed that if they could find a village, the safest way to make the first contact would be to drop a bucket of gifts from his airplane. And after locating signs of this Alcan village, they did just that over a period of weeks. Now, after a while, the Aucas even sent gifts back up in the bucket to this plane. Now, at this point, the missionaries felt it was time to meet face to face. So the pilot flew the team in, one by one, and they set up a camp away from the village while waiting for the Aucas to respond. Now, after 4 days, 3 Aucas appeared. The group spent 2 days together in the hope that the Aucas would return from their tribe and bring even more people back with them. And that's exactly what happened. But the team of missionaries quickly realized that this would not be a friendly encounter. Jim, it said, ran excitedly to greet the new arrivals, but he and his team members were immediately attacked. And these 5 brave missionaries were all killed that day. We know from Jim's journal that even though the missionaries carried weapons for their own protection, each man had promised that he would not kill an Auca who did not know Jesus. Jim Elliott's death was a tragic loss, but this is not how the story ends. What happened next was truly remarkable. You see, Jim's wife Elizabeth, who was wholeheartedly devoted to listening and obeying God, she answered God's call to enter into this mess of her own grief and anger. And then less than 2 years later, Elizabeth and her 3-year-old daughter moved to live in a remote Aucan village, and they demonstrated love and forgiveness, and many Aucas became followers of Jesus as a result of this. So no longer are they a people known for violence, but are now known by their traditional name, the Huayarani, the true people. Even when the pattern seems messy, unreadable, and unfathomable by our human understanding, remember Romans 8:28, which reminds us that for those who love God, all things work together for good. We may not be called into the middle of the jungle, but what messy middle is God calling you to step into, bearing the image of His love and His goodness?
All right. That was a little history lesson there. I just want to... Where we at? There we go. I'm going to leave it right there. All right, Kelli Ellie.
Yes.
Comments and thoughts on that story. Is that reignite, remotivate? What's your fascination with Elizabeth Elliott?
I've always, since the days of when I was in college, I read her book Passion and Purity, and it was just at a significant time in my life, and I really enjoyed that. And I've just I just think she's got a lot of just solid godly wisdom, and she
Mhm.
has a book called the one you saw me reading called Keep a Quiet Heart, and it's just kind of a compilation of some of her devotional journal entries or things that she
Mhm.
has written about just keeping your heart still and quiet before the Lord. And as somebody who struggles with anxiety and fear, that can be a real gripping struggle that I have. It's been a very helpful, very encouraging um, book
Mhm.
that I've turned to over the years. So I've just appreciated her.
Yeah, I've noticed that you read that book frequently, especially when I'm acting crazy. You seem to read it a little bit more
You
frequently.
drive me to that book.
I drive, I drive you to the Elizabeth Elliot, Jim Elliot story. He is no
No.
fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain possession of what he cannot lose. That is, excuse me, featured in the song "Is He Worth It?" That
And you,
phrase. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I didn't mean to interrupt you there about
No,
that because
interrupt. Because
that's a very popular quote of his. I mean, obviously phenomenal. Um, Kind of echoes the goal of our lives, I would say. But he has another quote that I think is. I was actually thinking about it this morning. I didn't know we were going to be talking about Jim Elliot.
we'll
I
see.
mean
That's why
Elizabeth
you get some
Elliot.
live, authentic audio.
Yeah, there you go. And it is the quote that says, "Wherever you're at, be all there.
Hmm.
Live to the hilt any situation or every situation you believe to be the will of God." And so I think that's also been kind of foundational and just something that I turn to a lot. Just the idea that, um, where I'm at right now, right here and right now, for those who struggle with anxiety or depression or struggles, fear in those areas, we can often I can be in the middle of making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches,
Hmm.
but my heart and my soul and my mind is just so struggling over what's going to happen this weekend. What I know is going to happen, what I know is going to be. I'm not just worrying about a
Well,
potential
that's good.
difficulty. It is a difficulty. It is coming. I know it's coming, but it's the idea that, yeah, I mean, that's true. It is true. Yeah, it's going to be difficult, but the Lord has me here right now. So
Hmm.
I can take care of these two little autistic foster boys we have right now and make them a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and actually be all here instead of having myself completely struggling with and it's a journey, it's a challenge. I definitely have not arrived, but it's a good reminder.
Even after all I've taught you in these last 22 years, you still haven't arrived.
Not yet. I'm close. I'm almost perfect, just not quite.
It may be because, and people could probably pick this up from just a scant interaction between the two of us. It may be because I keep offering you new challenges in new areas, opportunities to grow in the area of patience.
Yes. Yes.
What will be the new challenge today? Oh, yes, we're
Yes.
going to go do rap music in the jungles in Africa. All right, sounds like a good idea. Kelly, let's get on that. Can you book a plane ticket for me?
Yeah.
But no, it has been encouraging to me that you've handled those challenges so well. And I know there's been moments in life where you kind of looking at me like, but yeah, you've handled those extremely well. Just want to say thank you for that. One subject matter that I wanted to dive into, because we're talking about devotion and those kind of things, is church planting and the 4 years that we've spent planting here in East Nashville, what that's looked like, and kind of your thoughts about that, because I think obviously we're experiencing life in the gravity of life. It's constant on both of us, but we're experiencing it from different parts of East Nashville and in the United States and the globe. And so what has the church planting experience been like for you?
Wow, that's a big question. What
It
has the
is.
church
I ask big
planting
questions.
experience been like?
Tell the truth. Tell the
It's
truth.
been let me talk. Let me talk. It's been real, I would say. Um, it it's been challenging. You are the eternal optimist. I
We
am
will win.
not.
We will win.
I am not an eternal optimist. That is not how I view life. And so I see continual struggles and challenges. There have been a lot of good moments. There have been some neat things, neat people coming through the house, and um, I just pray that the faithfulness to the Lord is honoring to the Lord, that He's lifted up and glorified by that,
And it
because the
is.
actual results of what's happening with church planting um, just
What is
aren't
it?
there.
What is that famous phrase that I keep using around the house about Jimmy?
Do what you got to do. I mean, I don't know what phrase.
Yeah, I've always got some motivational speech
You always
routine.
got something, yeah, about
Jimmy,
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Oh yeah, I hate that. I hate that.
I know you do, but it's true. I'm not so. I don't know what the word would be. Motivated or demotivated by a lack of what the Western church would call results, whatever that means, in the sense of you got to see a numerical process taking shape in order to say that something actually exists. What is the revenue flow, or the number of people and the influx and all those different things? I'm not demotivated by those kind of things. It doesn't ever seem, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't ever seem like in the 22 years that we've been married, there's ever been a large surge of anything. Am I correct about that?
Probably
When I was on staff at a church,
large surge of challenges.
I mean, I'm trying to think about this in real time. Were there a surge of students that came to the student ministry? I mean, as professorial as I was in my teaching, as faithful as I was in my leadership, as competent as I was in my direction for the youth, did we have a surge of youth that came to the church just like, oh my goodness, this is incredible?
No.
In music ministry, has there just been a surge of flurry of activity of people just every single day? It's like, hey, we gotta have you come to this, and, you know, here's this and this and this and this.
No.
We're going somewhere with this. You know where we're going with this. And so too in church planting, I didn't expect that we would go into East Nashville, into the belly of the beast. Lord providentially placed us here, by the way. We didn't know anything about Nashville. We ended up in East Nashville and just find this cornucopia of just nonsense related to LGBT, pride issues, progressive Christianity. It's just a cesspool of nonsense in East Nashville in a lot of ways. Very kind people, I will say that. Very intelligent people, I will say that. But in terms of the ideas that we have to deal with that are around us, the lordship of Jesus Christ is not exalted. And so I didn't expect Satan to just lay down and just take one in the face like I want to punch him. I knew he was going to fight back. I knew it was going to be a struggle. And when I start to get more gray hair, they're going to call me the grind father, because we just grind every day. We grind. And if you want to know what it's like if you want to know what it's like to live in the house at the in East Nashville, I'm not going to say the address. I'm going to say the address. People come to my house, burn it down. There's a motivational speech every day. We will win. We will win today. And if we don't win today, then we'll win tomorrow. To your point. It's been a struggle, but it has been a faithful struggle to do the things that God has called us to do. Would you agree?
Yeah, we're doing what we know to do, doing what we can.
We're doing what we got to do. All right. Bear with me for just a second. I've got another video that I wanted you to see, and this will be the last thing that we'll do. We're right at about 50 minutes, and so you'll be off of this in less than 10 minutes, if that's okay.
Okay.
She's like, okay, good. Because ain't nobody got time to be on the live stream show all day long. You have things to go do. Boards to paint, Letters to mail. I don't know what you're doing.
Letters to mail. I'm not very good at that.
Oh yeah, we don't even put the flag up anymore because East Nashville is kind of like that. We don't put the flag up.
Just steal your mail.
Steal your mail. All right. So another video that I wanted to look at really quickly here is just this YouTube short that I came across this morning, and it was tricky because I was thinking the lady was saying one thing, but then when I listened to the video, actually stopped and listened to the video, she was saying something completely different than I thought, and it kind of threw me off a little bit. Just kind of her look and everything. So I'm gonna see if it throws you off when you see it, but I think this is a good video. Tell me what you think about this one.
This right here is powerful.
I don't submit to no man. You don't tell me what to do. I'm my own woman. I'm independent. What does the word submission mean? It comes from two Latin words: sub, under, and mission. Submission means to come under the mission. Jezebel was dominant and she hated submission. You don't tell me not to bring the prophets of power into this flame. I'm my own woman. I don't submit to no man. Her name, Jezebel, means unmarried. This is the Jezebel independent spirit. It's that they might have the title of wife, but they are fiercely independent. They're running businesses behind the scenes that their husbands don't even know about. They have bank accounts that their husbands don't even know about. But the godly woman, she's a helper to her husband, and she's on mission with her husband. It's not two people fighting against each other, building separate missions. A godly woman gets beside her husband and says, I will build the mission that God put in your life. I will come beside you. I will be a helper, and I will build the mission and the vision that God has entrusted you with. This is a godly, righteous woman.
All right. Let me just pause and get your. Do you want us to watch that again? We might watch it again here in a second. But what's your initial thought?
I don't know if it's just my feed because I'm so close to you, but there's a really huge echo on the videos. So I would maybe not play it again, but I might go back and listen to it sometime. It was great. It was wonderful. And I don't know if that's just because you and I are in the same house.
Yeah, I mean, I literally can hear you talking at the same time that you're talking on the show. And so, yeah, there's like.
But you are not echoing when I'm hearing you, but the video had a big echo.
$400 of audio equipment feeding this today. So, yeah, I'll figure out how to use this.
Yeah, that's all. I just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah, that was fantastic. I like her.
I don't know who that is.
Why is it easier to listen to people with an accent, with a non-American accent?
I know. I kept just thinking like she said that word differently. Oh, I like
it sounds wonderful. Like my GPS.
I don't know if, and again, you guys have heard me on this show before talk about women preachers. I won't jump into that today because I'll jump into that some other day. But just suffice it to say, because you're on the show, Kelly, and I wanted you to hear another woman who was articulating this. There are some men that are in the audience, but I'm not going to be judgmental of men who are in the audience because hopefully they're there with a gun. In case anything happens to these women, they can stand up and they can rise up against them. Maybe there's men who are there who are submitting to her teaching. I don't know who she is, but I was struck by the idea that she was giving a very, I think, complementarian view of the relationship between a husband and a wife.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted you to comment on, excuse me, is just the nature of how that works in real time. Because I think there would probably be some people who watch this and they think, well, Kelly she just submits to things that are the vision that Erskin has in reference to their lives. And I don't think that they realize the work, the challenge, the beauty, the necessity of that. And so maybe just before you get off here, just quickly say a couple of things about that, or you can filibuster.
Yeah, I know 100% the Lord has called me to submit to my husband. That's just a biblical understanding as you read through scripture. That's just the way God designed families to exist. You know what I mean? And
they should exist that way. They should exist that way.
That is the way God designed families to exist, is what I said. So whether they do it or not, that is the way. I'm sorry?
Meaning they should do it if that's the way that God has designed the family. Not every family does that.
I know. But okay, Erskin, Ask me a question and they cut me off.
I'll relent.
Had to say that. So yeah, and I think if we would get back to a biblical understanding in the way that we run our homes, I think we would find that there's beauty in that. So often we talk about submission and different roles in families and marriage as a joke, as something to, oh no, and oh this is, oh now we got to talk about this, and I think that's a shame because God's design is always going to be best. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy, and there are many times that I mean, there have been a few times I would say in our marriage where you're leading us in a direction that I don't like, and you've listened to me because this isn't a situation where I have no voice, or I'm just a doormat, or I'm just a nerd. I mean, I push back against you more than I push back about anybody on the planet because I'm safe with you and I can come to you and I talk to you and you actually listen to me. You don't always agree with me, and push comes to shove at times. There have been a few times where you've just said, I hear you, but this is direction we're going to move right now. But you hear me. And so it is um, I mean, it's a work in progress as the Lord continues to grow each of us. But I don't know how to summarize exactly what I'm saying. Well,
I'm just,
ask me a question about what I said.
well, all
that
I'm
make
doing over
sense?
here, I'm like a DJ. I got a little dance party that's going over because you cooking. She cooking, folks. Uh, uh.
And it's not, yeah, and it's not out to get anybody. It's not out to try
No,
to
she said
be.
in your face. I
No, I
watched her.
didn't. I didn't. It's not
I
that
see
it's
her
that's
lips
not
moving.
the heart. It's the heart of saying this is a beautiful thing. Now, can it be abused? Of course. Of course. There's so many things the way God, I mean, we can abuse any good thing that the Lord places in front of us. And because of the fall, because of sin in our lives, there's challenges in every single one of them. And there's in marriage and in the family, there's challenges there too. But God's design is still the right design.
Amen. And with that, I wanted to announce to everybody that Kelly and I will be starting a podcast called With the Anavatartes.
Since Kelly loves to talk so much.
And we will be talking about these issues because you heard it here, folks, from Kelly's own mouth, what women should be doing in relationship to their families. Now, thank you so much for, I can talk about these kind of things, but I really do think that part of the pushback that I get, and you've talked to me about some things about kind of how aggressive I am, but I think it's
Yes.
important for people to hear that message from somebody who is not me,
Yeah.
who is saying something similar to what I would be saying. But I just don't have the personality. I'm not a lay down and get ran over by the car kind of person. And so
I'm not a lay down and get run over by the car kind of person.
I'm not saying
either.
I'm not
Come
saying
on.
I'm not saying that you're that. I'm not saying that, but I'm not beta as a man. And so when I see an
Yes.
issue, I attack.
Yeah. And the Lord's refining all of us. And there's refinement in me being bold enough to stand up in places, not with you. I'm bold with you, but that's different. I'm
She's
safe
bold
with
with me.
you. But I'm safe with you. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
that's different. But the Lord is refining me and helping me to be more courageous and more bold. And the Lord is
Mhm.
refining you and helping you to be more gentle and more kind at times. So
Yeah.
he's continuing to work on us, and he will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's great. That's
Be
great.
nice, Erskine. Be nice this year on the Erskin Music Show. Be
That's
gracious, not
yeah.
nice. Nice is the wrong word.
Yeah.
You can do it. Bold and gracious.
There's an audience is praying for. Oh man. To all the students out there who are in my student ministry who are still alive, if you're still alive and you were in my student ministry, then may the Lord bless you. You had to endure some of the years where I was maybe a little less kind than I am now. But I'll end with this. Kelly,
Yes.
yes. She agreed with that.
There's some
But I'll
dear
end with
people
this.
there who still support you and love you.
But I'll say this. I recently, and don't take this the wrong way, audience, but I recently had a gentleman, it was an older gentleman, who said, the moment that I met you, I could tell you were just such a kind person. And I could tell by the look in your eyes, there was just such kindness in your eyes. Now, don't be thinking anything homosexual or anything about what I just said. This was genuinely a comment this man made. And
It
I
didn't sound
remember,
that way.
yeah, well, people think all sorts of things. People will
Okay.
take a clip like that and they'll make all sorts of, hey, Erskin has been exposed. He's traveling around
goodness.
all this, especially when I get into Michael
No,
Tait.
no, no, don't even say that. Really.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about Michael Tait here in just a second. But anyway, I called you, I think, after that, and I said, Kelli, I just received the nicest compliment from someone who was just telling me that instantly when they met me, they could tell that there was such kindness in my approach and in my demeanor. And we hadn't even spent a lot of time together. And maybe it was because we hadn't spent a lot of time together. And I remember your reaction to that was kind of like, okay, all right. you weren't completely buying it hook, line, and sinker like I thought that you would, like I thought that you should, in reference to my kindness and my
I'm glad you were.
magnanimity.
See? It's growing.
My
It's growing.
magnanimity. And so, yes, it is growing. I am purposed, and one of the things that I was doing over the summer is trying to figure out how do I have these challenging conversations when there's people
Yeah.
who are out there in a public platform like a John Mark Comer who is saying all sorts of weird things about penal substitutionary atonement. I don't know John Mark Comer. I think maybe if we did meet each other, we might have a great conversation. But until then, I've got to deal with the comments that I have. And so I'm trying to figure out ways to be more gracious while at the same time being an absolute lion when it comes to doctrinal things that I think are clear in scripture. And so, yeah, I'll be doing that. So be
bold as a lion, gentle as a dove.
Yes, pray for your brother.
Yes.
All right, your time is up. We're at 1 hour and 2 minutes, and that only leaves me 58 minutes to get to Michael Tait, Donald Trump, and detransitioners.
You're doing all that today?
I'm going to try to.
How long's your show today?
It's a 2-hour special.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this
All
is
right.
the season. You didn't see the first part of it because I sent the link to the wrong studio.
I was sitting in silence.
Yeah, I was like, why is she not coming on the show?
I'm like, this
All
is
right.
kind of weird to not hear anything about the show when I'm about to be on it, but we got it sorted out.
Well, did you like it better without knowing? It made it authentic.
It was fun.
I felt like it made it authentic. This is what we're really like, folks. If you're thinking it was something else, this is what it's like at the 4115.
Oh, you just said the address.
Okay, well, they don't know what city I live in. All right, well,
come see me. Come visit. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Kel, it's been great having you on the show, and you can, with sigh of relief, you don't have to worry about this for another season and a half.
Yay. All right.
You're free as a bird.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you.
All right. That was Kelli Ellie, my wife. I do have a wife. She can actually put up with me. There is someone in this world who can actually put up with me. Folks, I know it's a lot. What you see here on the Erskin Music Show, I'm a little more animated, probably, because I love this. This screen orientation of what you see right, I love this. I won't say I'll do anything for this. I'll die for this or anything like that. Yeah, I will pay a little bit of extra so I can get fast moving internet. But I love this. So I'm a little more hype when I'm doing something that I love. But there's really not much drop off. And so you can pray for Kelli. Because as soon as we get off this show, I'm going to be talking to her about, oh, we talked about this. And then somebody in the comments starts, it's all about that. All about that bass, no treble. All right. So, folks, we are at already an hour. And I said before, we're going to go 2 hours today. And you guys know that if we had a producer for the show and other aspects that we could bring in production-wise for the show, if we had the space, if we had the budget. By the way, talking about the budget, if y'all want to give some money to the show, if y'all want to give some money to feed starving children. That QR code works. That QR code works. That QR code works. I think those work so that you can donate to the show. I'm not quite sure how my show works. At any rate, if we had a 3-hour show like Joe Rogan, I can guarantee you he would be dethroned. I listen to Joe Rogan sometimes. I don't listen to a lot of his show because he be talking nonsense. But most of the time. And I go, well, anything he can do, I can do better. Well, why does he get a big platform? I want to tell people about Jesus. I want to read the scriptures on this show. I want to deal with some of the issues that are out there and help people have these kind of conversations. What I found that the beauty of this show is that I'm having conversations that you've always wanted to have with people. I'm having conversations with liberal neighbors and liberal friends. I'm having conversations with college students. And these are the kind of conversations that you've wanted to have, the kind of conversations that you've wanted to have with people, the kind of things that you've wanted to say, the kind of things that you didn't know people were actually saying out there about Jesus, about culture, about Christians. And I'm actually saying them out loud so that you can begin thinking about those. And so I don't want to put a price on what it is for you to actually use your brain and think, because God gave that to you for free. But just think with your brain. Think with your brains, people. If there's a soundbite that I want to use for today, it's use your brains, people. Think. And then think God's thoughts from God's word. That's why we do a devotion on this show. So we're thinking God's thoughts from God's words, and we're going out into the world. Do what you do. Do what you do. Literally. Like if you're a plumber, then do your plumbing job. If you're a music artist, then sing the song, write songs. Do what you do to the glory of King Jesus. That's what we do as followers. All right, I'm going to give you another song. Actually, I'm going to give you a 30-second countdown because there's really, I don't even know how to push these buttons for the next 30 seconds. Big Head. Closing out segment 1. Why you got that look on your face? Wipe that look off your face. Yes, we're closing out segment 1, 30-second countdown. Then we're coming back with some Erskin music. I think I'm going to do the song Everything. Yeah, I am. And then I'll be back. I'm talking about Michael Tait. I'm talking about Donald Trump. And I'm talking about, hopefully, if I can get to this last one on detransitioning from the trans movement. Anyway, I'll get into all that in the next hour. The Erskin Music Show. Couldn't wait to get back to you guys on this particular episode. Yeah, so stay tuned.
was a castaway, running from it. How did I last the day? But you found me running into a greater light. I was blind when I found my sight. Oh, I tried changing the way I was thinking, but I couldn't do it alone. The gospel gave me a reason for living a new life in Jesus alone. Now it's changing, oh it's changing, it's changing everything. My resurrection feels like I'm running free. Life is so different than what it used to be. Testify, rescue. I'm never going back, not defined by a broken past. Oh, I tried changing the way I was thinking, but I couldn't do it alone. The gospel gave me a reason for living a new life in Jesus alone. Now it's changing, oh it's changing, it's changing everything. Anything is possible if gave me a reason for living a new life in Jesus alone. I tried changing the way I was thinking, but I couldn't do it alone. The gospel gave me a reason for living a new life in Jesus alone. Now it's changing, oh it's changing, yeah it's changing, oh now it's changing, it's changing everything.
This is Dr. Jason Lee Plummer, Senior Pastor of First Baptist Church, Headmaster of Litchfield Christian School. And I pity the fool who doesn't watch or listen to Erskin Music Show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here. Once again, we're continue on with the Erskin Music Show. Second hour. It's great to have my wife on first hour, but we are moving on. We're moving on, folks, because we've got to get to some of this information related to Michael Tait. Now, I will go ahead and say this. Michael Tait and I only met one time. I don't have any extensive background information. And you might be saying to yourself, well, that was over 2 months ago. Why are you just not talking about this? Because as I had mentioned a little bit earlier in the show, that was one of those things that came out. I think my friend Jesse Morris broke that story about a week or so after I went on hiatus. And again, for those of you who are in social media, I would say you should do this. And I'm not going to father you like your daddy or anything, but you should do this. I think it creates a level of authenticity. I was telling you about all the books that I read this summer, because I wanted to devote my summer to reading books and having conversations where I can look people in the eye. That's what I wanted to do. And be off of social media, not following stories, not commenting on different things. I've probably been up since about 4 o'clock this morning. It's Central Standard Time. What is it? It's 10 o'clock right now. And so I started doing research, started setting up and prepping for the show, usually by about 5:30 on any typical day I'm in the studio, but wanted to kind of get a little earlier start today, just thinking through the show and getting everything ready. And that's a lot of time on social media. That's a lot of time going through stories. That's a lot of time, I'm the producer of the show as well as the talent on the show. And so, I'm not apologizing for that. It may be this way for a while until some multimillionaire picks the show up and says, hey, we can make this show into something. If Candace Owens can have a show, if Tucker Carlson can have a show, then Erskin can have a show that needs to be nationally syndicated. If the Daily Wire can be out there doing what they do, then Erskin definitely can have a show. He's got more personality than any of those people combined. I digress. It was one of those times where I decided I needed to take some time off, and I do this every summer, and I also do this during Christmas time. So for a couple of weeks there's no Erskin Music Show. You'll just have to get over it. You just have to figure out what to do in life. Go back and watch the reruns, but probably it'd be a good time for you to get off social media as well. And so when I meet people who don't have social media accounts, they're not on social media, they're not constantly buried in the thing, I generally have better conversations with them. I'll just go ahead and put that out there. And so if you don't subscribe to the show, like I said, you can like it, you can subscribe to the show, if I could say the word subscribe, or you could not subscribe to the show, or you don't even have to like the show. We live in a free country. Do whatever you feel like the Lord is calling you to do. Just do that, and you'll be all right. And I'll be all right with you if you're all right with that. And so one of the things that happened was this story came out. My friend Jessie Morris, she's been on the show before, broke the story about Michael Tait. Julie Roy's picked it up and other groups that are out there. And so you'll see a little bit of Julie Roy's in this next story, but I had no comments whatsoever on Facebook. I think I may have liked something that one of my other friends said, or maybe a couple of words in reference to what somebody else said about something. It was like third or fourth hand, but I made no comments whatsoever at the time. I've remained relatively silent. And for somebody like myself, who is actually a music artist in Nashville, in the music industry as an independent artist, for me to not say anything about Michael Tait and that whole situation, you're kind of going, well, you talk about everything. I mean, in fact, I'm prepping up because I've got to show him Martin Luther King Jr. and some things that black people or some black people are not going to like me saying about Martin Luther King Jr. So you talk about everything on the show. You didn't talk about Michael Tait. Does that somehow mean that you're implicated, that you're involved in that? I don't think anybody that knows me thinks that or would even insinuate or believe anything like that. Is that Erskin butting up to the music industry and trying to cover up? And, you know, it's kind of the Nashville secret. You guys know me better than that. I will go without a record deal. I will go without friends in the industry before I would let something like that go. And so I didn't comment on it because I was in that window of recharging, refreshing, reorienting my mind, literally reshaping my mind by reading books and having long periods of silence. And so I didn't comment on the story, but now I'm back at the Erskin Music Show. I'm going to comment. I'll make a couple comments on the show. And so let me jump into a little bit of this that I wanted to share. And yeah, thanks for that. And I'll share a little bit of this and then we'll stop along the way. And your comments are welcome here on the Erskin Music Show. I've got like 2 weeks worth of material just from this one show. Here it is. If you grew up a DC Talk or Newsboys fan, this lady is triggered. There's no way for us to avoid it. I'm not trying to bring up old news, but I think this is still pressing and ongoing news, and I hadn't commented on it yet. So let's get into this.
Constructing, or you've faced some type of church abuse, because it can be a bit triggering how systems of power and money protect people who bring them power and money.
You're absolutely right. This goes beyond the victims and even beyond their abusers. At its core, it's about a system that not only allows the abuse to happen, but protects those who benefit from it.
You don't question anybody with the last name of Kassi. You don't question anybody that they put in a position of authority. And if you do, you will be reprimanded. And if you do it twice.
Oh, that's that one lady who's up in Canada. What's her name? Is there on the top of the screen? She's the lady that's up in Canada that was talking about the Daystar. I think she may have had a syndicated show that was on Daystar. And then when all of that wacky stuff started coming out about Daystar, she actually took her show, I think, off of Daystar, if I'm correct. So she's kind of a straight shooter as well, and commenting on what this. Now, I say Michael Tait, but it's not just Michael Tait. And for people who are just like, well, Michael Tait's becoming the fall guy for things that have been going on in the industry, and he's sort of become the scapegoat for a lot of folks who are in the industry, who are involved in some of these things, who it's not being talked about, and they just want to have a name that's out there. They want to tar and feather him. Well, we can get to all the other things that are out there, but let's talk about the clear and present thing that we do know in relationship to his confession letter, in relationship to some of the investigative reporting, the allegations that are out there that are ongoing, and some of the charges that are out there. We can deal definitely with those things.
There is no third chance. You're out.
Far too often, untrained children of pastors are elevated into positions of influence, exuding a sense of entitlement.
I was born in Washington, D.C., son to a pastor, a church planner, and the baby of 9 kids.
In this system, questioning is discouraged, obedience is demanded. And I
actually didn't like, I mean, I've watched this a couple times this morning. Let me know what you think about that, but I actually didn't love that comment. I didn't love that they made the equivocation that if you're the son or related to a pastor, you're automatically elevated to a position. Now it does happen. There is nepotism within Christianity, within pastoral ministry, but that it necessarily, that is the word that I was trying to say, that it necessarily means that you are untrained. Because then I think that says something about the pastor himself. The pastor was untrained, or at least didn't disciple his kids, and then elevated them to a position without them having the knowledge and the ability to be able to do those things. I know many, many examples of kids of pastors who grew up watching the example of their father, watching the example of their parents in ministry, who have gone on and done some tremendous things. And so I don't think that it's necessarily part and parcel, I don't think it is, that these folks who are in ministry have been elevated without being tested. Sometimes that's the case, and very many times I'm kind of curious about the lack of theological training for people who stand to influence lots and lots and lots of people. And so I'm always curious to know who somebody is reading. Like, who have you read? Where have you studied? And it's not necessarily a study so I can flex on anybody, because I don't think that Southwestern is the greatest institution in the history of the world. And I said that out publicly. It's a place where I studied, and very thankful for my theological education there. Wonderful professors and a wonderful place. But maybe there's some more rigorous academic institutions out there. That's all I was simply saying. But where a person studied, or that means the books that they're reading, which means the ideas that they're ruminating on, has some kind of influence and impact in their lives. So who are you reading? What are you reading? What are you thinking about? Because whatever you're thinking about, whoever it is that you're reading, whatever is influencing you, sort of becomes a litmus test for what you will then produce in music, culture, art. Sometimes what you produce gets wildly popular, and then it gets out there on the cutting edge, and then that requires you to be in front of more people, and then being in front of more people. And I've always said this, and I've heard a lot of people say this: what would I do if there were hundreds of thousands of people who watch this show, who comment on this show, who watch everything that I do, who see me in my not nice moments and commenting on those kind of things? How would I handle those kind of pressures? How would I hold up to that? And so that is a little bit of a challenge that's there. And so I wanted to at least give a little bit of leeway for the music industry not to be sloppy. I'm gonna call out some things about accountability, not to be sloppy, but just for everything not to work the way that it necessarily you would think that it does. So, okay, that's my disclaimer. Second thing is, I'm getting into this and watching Kevin Sorbo here. Why is Kevin Sorbo in every Christian film? I mean, for real. I mean, Kevin Sorbo, he's good. He's good. It's fine. But you do know that there are more Christian actors out there besides Kevin Sorbo. I'm just saying you can hire me, do your film. Anyway, I wanted to just say that to those who, I think it's disrespectful to say allegedly are victims, but have been victimized in some way, whether that stands and at what level that stands in the court of justice, but have been traumatized or triggered by any of this. My heart does go out to you. I do think that it's a tragedy. The influence and the cloak of celebrity can be used to hide egregious things. And then on the dark side, the flip side of a lot of these conversations, there's, like Danny Goki said, that we're all broken people. Every moment of our lives, we all need Jesus. So let's look at a little bit more of this. Let's bring in some Julie Roys here in just a second.
Times, even worship is expected. But the pattern we frequently see on the other side of this unchecked power, public disgrace.
And admit and accept is that most of these Christian artists
and many of their megachurch pastors are a far cry Christ-like example they claim to follow. Their worship is often performative, more spectacle than substance, while behind the scenes, they engage in alliances and practices that bear disturbing resemblance to the very forces they publicly condemn.
Nashville's worst-kept secret. For decades, allegations have circulated that Newsboys frontman Michael Tait, formerly of DC Talk, had groomed and sexually assaulted numerous victims. And after a 2.5-year investigation by the Roys Report, which included interviewing more than 50 sources, TRR has documented Tait's alleged predatory pattern with stories dating back more than 2 decades. TRR also has corroborated allegations of Tait's alcohol and substance abuse with multiple sources.
In the world of gospel music, talent is often
now that's going to have to hold up
and charisma can cloak a multitude of contradictions.
That's going to
We
have to hold
applaud
up against
soaring
scrutiny.
vocals, magnetic stage presence, and prophetic lyrics, but rarely
And I don't
pause
know
to
what it
ask
is
if
they're
the
using
gift
here,
matches
but
the
this
life
doesn't look
behind
like a Christian
this
music
disparity, the
rock
gap
concert.
between
Go
spiritual
ahead and say
skill
that.
and personal virtue, has
Maybe
become
they were
the
just
silent tension
maybe they were just
threading
using
through the
this to
gospel industry.
demonstrate
And in
a
many
large scale
cases,
concert,
it's
because I don't know
exploded into
anybody that's coming out
scandal.
in the penguin suit.
While audiences are moved by the anointing, few see what happens when that public power is not
unchoreographed dancing
grounded
that's
in
going on
private
there.
integrity. From
Yeah, I'll
megachurch
take some of that
pulpits to
fire
Grammy
tonight. My live
stages,
show.
some of gospel's most gifted artists have been entangled in controversies that include financial exploitation, substance abuse, and abuse of power. This investigation isn't about sensationalism. It's about accountability in an
This is
industry
Acquire the
where
Fire.
giftedness can become a shield, and where spiritual
You guys remember Acquire the Fire? ATF. Back in my student ministry days, Acquire the Fire, baby.
influence too often goes unchecked. What happens when the calling outpaces the character? When the platform grows, but the person behind it never matures? As we delve into some of the most unsettling scandals involving world-renowned gospel artists,
I don't know what
we
this
examine
is.
not just
I
the
would
incidents
fast forward, but it's the
themselves,
video that they
the
use.
deeper crisis they reveal.
Here,
A system that celebrates gifts while neglecting the virtues that must sustain them.
Michael Tait, a legacy under scrutiny.
There have been times I have just desecrated the walk, if you will. I've messed up. And
This was an open secret in Nashville. This was an open secret in Christian music communities.
3 men spoke to TRR, alleging that Tait befriended them individually on Christian music tours in 2004, 2010, and 2014. They were all 22 years old at the time. 2 men stated that they were drinking alcohol with Tait and later woke to him fondling their genitals. One alleged Tait also offered him cocaine.
Oh yeah, I guess I should have made the disclaimer. Hide your kids. That's not necessarily something that for the kids who watch the Erskin music show. I mean, this is all public report. This news and commentary that's out there. But yeah, hide your kids.
While on the Newsboys tour bus, the third told TRR that Tait gave him a back massage while skinny dipping and later invited him to share his king-size bed. There, Tait allegedly, non-consensually massaged his anal region.
All of this happened.
All right,
During
let
official tour.
me get to that's the stopping point for me right there. A couple things that I wanted to say, and those of you who know my cautionary tale, this serves as one of them. That being, folks want to often get to that place in life where, and I'm trying to choose my words carefully here, they can just go in and just move in and out of circles and just do things because they have access. And I've often heard Ruslan talk about access to excess, and access to excess without proper character development will at some point get you in a place where your character cannot respond to the challenge that's ahead, cannot respond to the present situation. And so there's the kind of blinking light elephant in the room conversation, is that this is Michael Tait and his name is out there. He confessed and he, treatment and all the different things that are out there. And many people say, well, people using him as a scapegoat. But Michael Tait is not the only one. Michael Tait is not the only one. And, as investigative reporting goes on, Michael Tait will not be the last one. So should we ask ourselves the question about the culture of Christian music? I was really glad to see some of the conversations that were being had about that. And even some of my Reform friends who were coming out and saying, you just don't give people who have not been tested a platform. You just don't do it. It's just not wise. There was the whole thing that came out with Chip and Joanna Gaines this summer, kind of waffling on some of the things that they have taught and kind of believed. And so I can understand the reaction of some who say, well, we're just going to dial this thing all the way back and never give a platform to Christian music artists. Just serve, just be lowly. In the world that we live in, contextually speaking, that's a little unreasonable. But I do appreciate the fact that people are asking questions about the platform. They're asking questions, and good questions. I always appreciate that. I always appreciate people who jump in the comment section and they say, well, you said this, what about this? I appreciate that kind of thing. We go back and forth. Usually, and I think that this is axiomatic for life, you show up every day, put your heart and soul into what it is that you're doing, be prepared to do what it is that you're doing. That's why I do prep time for the show. Usually, even if I'm saying things in a lighthearted manner on the show, I'm doing so with the knowledge in mind that if someone were to jump into the comment section, and this, I mean, obviously, you could ask questions that I wouldn't have the answer for. You could ask questions that I wouldn't even attempt to give an answer for, and have that moment if you want to have that moment on the show. But typically speaking, I'm thinking to myself, when I say the comment section is turned on, the comment section is turned on so that people can ask a question, so they can say, well, you said this, but what about this? In some circles in the Christian music industry, there's no exchange between the artist and the audience. And among some artists, that would be a little bit untenable. You need a gatekeeper, at least a producer, to be able to say, okay, we're gonna let this question get in. Not gonna let this one, and have to be a little bit more selective of that. But I would love to have a show where there's hundreds of thousands of people who view it and who can call in and who can can appear on the show and ask questions. Clearly, this was not the situation with the Newsboys. And so I'm asking questions about Michael Tait, but I want to take it beyond that. I want to ask questions about the Newsboys. I think we are owed some answers with relationships to the Newsboys. I want to actually even ask some questions to Toby Mac. I know everybody loves Toby Mac. He's a great guy. The video that I was in of his, Help Is on the Way, great guy. Great video. We had a great time together. But I think it's probably important to ask him some questions as well. It's important to ask Christian music writ large questions about motivations, questions about practices. You guys know that when I'm traveling with women, I don't travel with women alone. I don't do that. Unless it's my wife. She didn't like to travel with me. And so putting boundaries in place and having a rationale for why you're doing things the way that you're doing things, letting people ask questions about those things, finding best and better practices with regards to things, more wise practices, I should say. I think it's important. I think that's important to ask questions like that. I think it's important to have among some of the discussions that I've had, and I won't mention the names of the bands and the artists that I've had discussions with, to have those kind of almost in-house discussions where we're challenging certain narratives, asking important questions, and being held accountable. And so, what are your comments? What are your thoughts? What do you want to say about the Michael Tait Newsboys situation? Should Newsboys be continuing to tour? Should they just kind of sweep this under the rug, or do they need to take some time off? Do they need to take some time off and then maybe come back, kind of reignite, reformulate, retool what the Newsboys is? Or should they just take some time off and then come back and then it be what it was? I don't think it's going to be what it was. Because I think in a lot of people's mind, either the name or the artists that are associated with Newsboys, this kind of puts a mark in people's minds in reference to what's really going on here. And so, interesting story from this summer. Sad story, I would say. And just very difficult to be able to see how this is going to do anything except be a blight for the Christian music industry and for those who just nominally on the fence. Christian music really stands at this bridge between the world and the church. And I say it's in between the church because it's not the church. Anytime you go to a concert, and I hate when this happened, artists would get up on stage and be like, oh yeah, all the folks out there, you guys having a good time? Oh yeah, we're having a good time. Yeah, we having church tonight. I'm like, don't say that. We're not having church tonight. This is not an ecclesiastical gathering. We will not take the Lord's Supper. There will not be people who are being baptized. The gospel will likely not be preached. There will not be an exercise of pastoral authority or elder authority in the context of what's going on in the gathering. And so we're not having church just because we're having a concert. And so that aspect of why I say that Christian music stands in the bridge between the church, because it can relate. It can be played, not during a worship service, but in the church building for certain special occasions, maybe a revival of sorts. You have a church building and a revival and special music that's being played during that time. Okay. Maybe a special event to commemorate a banquet of some sort, fundraiser of some sort, and you have some Christian music that's being played, categorized in that. That's fine. So connected to the church, but also connected to the world. And there's people who listen, and I know people because I've met them before, who started listening to Christian music and saying, well, this Christian music isn't all that bad. And then the Lord began to use the Christian music to point them in a direction, and they found their way into the church, found their way into God's word, became believers and devoted followers of Christ through the medium of being able to connect with the music or to be able to connect with the artist. And so the Christian music industry stands at this really challenging bridge, right, between the church and the world. And I can't think that anything other than it's going to be a bit of a blight to the Christian music industry, even to independent artists. Even reading some of those things that are being reported, and obviously in the court of law and due process, those allegations will have to be proved out if there's criminal activity. But the fact that you hear things like that, the fact that there's things like a Ravi Zacharias, if you don't know who he is, he was an apologist who was using his spiritual influence to manipulate, cajole, harm women. A Mike Bickle, it's out there. You know, these are just recent names. And some of the things that he was alleged to have done over years, 4 years, scandal after scandal. And so those kind of things damage the witness for some. They will not ultimately stop the elect from coming to Christ, but those kind of things damage the witness of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. All right, let me do this. I'm trying to figure out how to work the studio. All right, so that gone. We're going to get into here in 30 seconds Donald Trump. Maybe I should just do a whole week on Donald Trump, because I'd love for me to have some actual time to bifurcate out my position on Donald Trump. It is a curious position, because on the one hand, I think that he's absolutely kind of a nincompoop. I mean, really, he is kind of a caricature. He's a clown. He's petulant, I think, in some regards. Narcissistic, even, to a moderate degree. A lot of bit haphazard in some ways. And yet, in all of that, I still say very positive things about Donald Trump. So how as a Christian, can we say positive things about Donald Trump, knowing the kind of, we talked about character a little bit earlier. How can we say things like that, knowing his character, knowing his petulance, knowing his narcissism? And I think that Kirk Cameron is going to start to get into some of those things. And I'm really interested to see what your comments are. If you didn't want to talk about Michael Tait, that's kind of a dark story. That's kind of a blight. But if you didn't want to talk about Michael Tait, maybe you want to talk about Donald Trump. I know I was with a group of guys yesterday who were, we're not supposed to get into politics in the group that I was in, but they brought it up, and I just kind of made the statement. So I guess I'm maybe the only conservative here at this table. All right, good to know. I'm a conservative without being a Donald Trump follower. So we'll deal with that in 30 seconds. Take a 30-second pause there. Actually, take a 30-second pause, and then we're coming back and we're talking about Donald Trump. All right.
the best podcast that you could possibly have sat down and chosen to watch and enjoy and take in all the fantastic content created by the one and only Erskin of Erskin Music. So welcome to the Erskin Music Show.
All right, I'm back. All right, let's jump into this next stuff. I'm starting to get the hang of it now. I had to click through a couple of buttons and kind of figure out what the screen orientation is, but I'm back, folks. He's back. I'm back. All right, let's get to this. I don't think we're going to be able to do detransitioning today, but this is Kirk Cameron. Do you regret voting for Donald Trump? Or are you doubling down? Are you standing, as they say, 10 toes down? I voted for him. I'm glad I voted for him. Everything that's happening is things that I anticipated happening. And so, boom, we're here. We're good. Or are you regretting, I'm watching some things that are going on and not pleased at all about that? Is that your position? Let's listen to Kirk Cameron.
Let me remind you of just a few of the things that Trump has done in this second term. One, ended the federal government's assault on peaceful pro-life Americans. He also created a task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. He effectively abolished the Johnson Amendment. That's been around for forever. He's also defending Christian medical professionals from being forced to participate in gender reassignment surgeries. We can't forget about him securing the border against drug cartels, warlords, human traffickers, and violent criminals. This is not the work of somebody who's hostile to Christian values. He is protecting them for us. Let me remind you.
All right, so you got a chance to see that soundbite. And I'm wondering what your thoughts, comments are. You want to talk about Michael Tait, but maybe you want to talk about Donald Trump. Did you vote for Donald Trump? Did you vote for Donald Trump and regret voting for Donald Trump? Did you vote for Donald Trump and you are excited about what is happening with Donald Trump? I didn't vote for Donald Trump, but I certainly didn't vote for the other candidate that was out there. Wrote in an independent. I'm in Tennessee, so we already knew where those electoral votes were going to go. But I am in East Nashville, and so I get a chance to have a lot of a lot of good discussions about some of these things. Sometimes they're not substantive. Sometimes they are. And I can tell you that the media doesn't report on either side things that they should be reporting to help people really clearly have a view of what's going on. And I've got my thoughts on why that is. But suffice it to say, in speaking about Donald Trump, and this particular report left out the fact that he stopped 6 wars during his administration so far. 6 wars in like 6 months. I mean, he's doing phenomenal things. And here's where we get in trouble. Here's where we're going to get in trouble in the Erskin Music Show. God is no respecter of persons. I try not to let this be the case in my life, and it's probably not. It's probably what gives me the edge of sometimes not being that nice. I'm not also a respecter of persons. If I see something that is going well, and it actually is going well, then I will give credit for what is going well. I.e., when Donald Trump does something that is demonstrably effective and helpful for people. I'm going to kind of date this because I couldn't use this episode again, but like thinking through reduction of crime, and I know it's probably too early to be able to see the effects of that, but reduction of crime in Washington, D.C., and then maybe looking at doing a reduction of crime in Chicago, New York, other places. If there's things that generally lead to more welfare and industry and growth, I don't have a problem saying I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that there's people who can now walk up and down the streets of DC without feeling like they're about to get mugged, shot, stabbed, or any of those types of things. And so I do think that matters. To be able to say, I really appreciate in this area. I do appreciate what Donald Trump is doing. And very personally speaking, from my vantage point, when he begins to speak about and think about and talk about some of the just absurd things that are happening in the trans movement and gender ideology and gender confusion, and just says, no, the buck stops here. We're not going to continue going down this road. Now, you guys know the pendulum swings back and forth. And so there may be a next administration that is not favorable to those kind of things. And we kind of got to deal with that. But suffice it to say, in those areas where he has stood up for women on the issue of not having boys in girls' bathrooms, men in women's bathrooms, biological males, they're just so common sense. They're just so common sense that you cannot help but support at least that sentiment. The other challenging thing is on the opposite side of that, saying something good or saying something negative about it. Saying something that, yeah, I was going through and I was deleting some of the files so that I have space to be able to put some of these longer episodes on my computer, and came across the show that I had done where I was essentially talking about the tariffs. And if the tariffs remained in place and the tariffs went the way that people thought they would go, in the short run, it might impact Erskin Music, the business, to the point where we can't recover. Now, obviously, God is sovereign in that, and that might be God's way of moving us to something else, moving me toward being the president of the United States. But suffice it to say, the ability to look at a Trump administration and say there's some things that I definitely don't understand. This whole relationship with Israel, and I'm going to do my part to speak about that as well. What are we at here? Yeah, I won't do the detransition today. But some things in which the Trump administration has protected and guided and shown some support for worldview issues that the Christian can be a part of. I don't think my soul's in conflict with being able to say I appreciate those things, while at the same time holding him accountable for the things that he's doing and the manner in which he's doing those things. So there's that. Kirk Cameron, let's listen to it again.
Of just a few of the things that Trump has done in this second term. One, ended the federal government's assault on peaceful pro-life Americans. He also created a task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. He effectively abolished the Johnson Amendment. That's been around for forever. He's also defending Christian medical professionals from being forced to participate in gender reassignment surgeries. We can't forget about him securing the border against drug cartels, warlords, human traffickers, and violent criminals. This is not the work of somebody who's hostile to Christian values. He is protecting them for us. Let me remind you of just a few of the things that Trump has done in this second term. One, ended the federal government's assault on peaceful pro-life Americans. He also created a task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. He effectively abolished the Johnson Amendment. That's been around for forever. He's also defending Christian medical professionals.
All right. So we watched that kind of 2.5 times now. Your comments, your thoughts, your statements. I'm not asking for a popularity contest. I'm not asking, do you like Donald Trump as the person? I'm asking you to evaluate the platform positions that he has. And I know that Chicago would be a good test case example of this. And I was prepping this morning, and I was prepping for this video, but then I came across several other videos that I did not play. But it is people who are in Chicago who are saying that it's interesting because you have this sort of elitism that takes place where there's people like Chicago. What? Chicago doesn't have a problem with crime. Chicago's good, man. People, great. A lot of these politicians, a lot of folks that are out there in the suburbs, living good lives, low crime, Many opportunities are there. In the heart of the city, it's just not the same thing. It's just not the same thing. And so when we paint that picture from one vantage point and say, well, no, there don't need to be troops or any type of intervention in what's going on in Chicagoland. No intervention in that. It's fine around here. Skokie is good. Gurney Mills is good. What are we talking about? Well, on the south side, it's not good. And so that's an issue in which it's important to hear an alternate voice on that. And so I'm glad that there's people who are rising up and they're kicking back against the system and saying, wait a minute, don't put this at the feet of Donald Trump just being outlandish. Put this in the category of there's an actual problem that needs to be solved. And Donald Trump is good at solving problems. I will give him that. Iran, yeah, you thought you're about to rise up, but you're not. You thought that, and again, that's all of these stories are to be continued. Iran thought that they were about to rise up with nuclear weapons, and we said, actually, you're going back to the 1950s in terms of your nuclear capabilities. Good luck with that one. And people came out, because I watched the media during that time. That was also one of those times when I was off from my show. And I watched the media and I thought, well, what would Erskin do in a situation like this? What would Erskin say in a situation like this? Okay, bomb, okay, bunker buster, okay. Okay, we destroyed their nuclear capability. All right, I'm in favor of it. And maybe that makes you feel a certain way about me as a Christian. But I think operating in the sphere of sovereignty of the government having a sphere of influence, the church having a sphere of influence, and then within the context of families, there's a sphere of influence and a circle and a dynamic that's important. And they may overlap at times, but within the context of those things, I'm usually on the cutting edge part of the conversation. So there's that. All right, we got one more Erskin music song, and then we're going to be wrapping it down. We got a guest that's coming on tomorrow, and I'll tell you who the guest is because you will not want to miss tomorrow's episode. It's going to be, I'll just go ahead and say it's going to be a lively discussion. It's not a debate. It's not a debate in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But the guest that I'm bringing on is no person who is shy of their opinions. And so we're going to springboard from their platform to who knows where we'll go. As we were prepping for the show and talking just in a brief sketch about what the expectations of the show were, I had made mention of the fact that really I could just throw out a topic and just start talking about that topic, and then got to see where that topic leads. But anyway, some Erskin music here. We did Only Love. We did Everything. Now we're doing Hard Fought Hallelujah. No, I didn't write that song. We're going to be doing a song called Better Day. Season premiere is back. It's a better day. Folks, you waited patiently. And I'm back. Erskin Music Show. Where we at?
Looking at the photographs in an album left behind, thinking of the wonder years and all the dreams I resigned. Things I should have done, I should have said. Something is telling me the best is still ahead. I'm alive and well, got a story to tell. I'm not what I used to be. To live is Christ, to die is gain. By the power of his name and the glory of God in me. It's a better day. Oh, it's a better day. Running in a field of dreams, promises of a world yet unseen. I've seen brokenness, times I've bled. Something is telling me the best is still ahead. My God is telling me the best is still ahead. I'm alive and well. I've got a story to tell. I'm not what I used to be. To live is Christ, die is gain. By the power of his name and the glory of God in me. Every piece of every broken story, you alone have redeemed. Oh, better days because of you are flowing and living inside of me. I'm not what I used to be. Live is Christ, die is gain. By the power of his name and the glory of God in me. Yeah, I'm alive and well. I've got a story to tell. I'm not what I used to be. To live is Christ, die is gain. By the power of his name and the glory of God in me. With the glory of God in me. It's a better day. Oh yeah. It's a better day. Oh yeah. It's a better day. Oh yeah. It's a better day. Oh yeah.
As she is known for the numerous artists that she's worked with to be able to help them to vocally recover. We were having a conversation yesterday about Peebo Bryson, one of my favorite artists that I grew up listening to, and just vocal recovery. I've actually got a vocal thing that's going on right now. I don't know. Is that breaking news? Breaking news, folks. It's not breaking news. Get this guy off here. Get Kirk Cameron off here. So yeah, we're going to be talking about recovery for vocalists that go on tour and how to keep your voice strong and all those different things, how to recover from injury. We're going to be having that discussion. I need to call some of my friends who want to tune in tomorrow. But nonetheless, she's going to be on, and she is a wealth of information and ideas across the globe. And so we'll start there, I'm sure, with her business. And I want to definitely highlight that for you guys and make you guys aware of that. But who knows where we'll go in that conversation. We have not been known to have conversations that are short or have conversations that just range on one topic. And so very knowledgeable in her craft and knowledgeable in so many different areas. So you will not want to miss, Beth Dupree tomorrow. There's a in-town at Creative Studios in Nashville event tonight that I want to make you guys aware of. Please, if you're a creative in the Nashville area, my assistant is hosting the event at Create It Studios at the Walmart in Franklin. So if you've thought about getting in the music industry, you're interested in how things work, wanting to meet people, network, all those different things, and actually see some practical workshops, that is going on tonight. I should announce that, in the Nashville area in Franklin, Tennessee. And so more information about that, you can reach out to me if you want more information about that. My assistant is actually hosting that tonight. I'm unfortunately not going to be there. I've got some prior commitments. However, Beth may probably be there tonight, as well as she'll be on the show tomorrow before they head back to the great nation, or great state of Oklahoma. Texas is the nation, Oklahoma is the state. Anyway, it's the Erskin Music Show. So glad you guys could tune in. The season premiere, 2 hour, and I'm gonna be chopping this up. So we've got at least 6 or 7 days worth of content from this show, between what my wife and I shared, and then also some of the stories that we'll be following. We'll be tracking along with those stories. Won't be the last time that you'll hear me say anything, as new information comes out now that I've at least addressed the issue with Michael Tait and that scandal. I'll be updating that story, as well as some of the other things that we'll be updating on the show. Glad you guys could tune in. 2 hours for the first show, and then we'll do an hour each day. Coming back. Oh, wait a minute. I was going to say, I was thinking this was a Tuesday show. It is not. We skipped Tuesday because of Labor Day. And so we'll only have tomorrow's show. And then the podcast will reignite and all the different things that are there. So tune in to the Erskin Music Show. So glad you guys are out there. Let your friends know that we are back on. He's live. He's on the set. Drop comments in the comment section. And as you guys are watching this into perpetuity throughout the evening, get comments literally all throughout the day of people who are watching this in the time zone and in the area of delay where they can to enjoy the Erskin Music Show. So thanks to my wife for coming on. Took a little extra special convincing to get her on the show, but she did fine. She did fine. And you guys will benefit from that content. All right, God bless. We're out.